Okay, this is my project. It is my Giving Thanks for Banks by Mattia Green. My main focus was to try to organize and restructure the current resource referrals that we have for our clients and our social workers and our peer support specialists that go out into communities and give their clients these resources. What is Giving Thanks for Banks project? This project is designated to update the resources and referral resources for the food banks within the areas that we work in. Currently, the issue that we're having at the moment is that it's all in one spot for all three locations in the Rocky Mount, the Durham, and the Raleigh area. So I decided to try to separate the three areas and try and restructure it so it was more usable, more viable than what it is currently. This project, as I said, is to update the current resources list and make it more compatible into useful lists like brochures, pamphlets, flyers, things like that. Things that could be easily reused and easily passable within the community. Who is this project meant to help or impact? This project is meant to help impact clients that we work with that are looking for food banks. Right now, with the winter season coming through, food banks is a high priority, especially for families that have young children or more vulnerable individuals like the elderly or the disabled. Who is this project meant to involve? It involves all three of the quality care solution organizations, myself, food banks that are either in business or no longer in use, and clients that are in need. The people that aren't involved are those that don't live within these areas, people that don't work at quality care solutions, and people who don't need to find food banks. So this is mostly just to impact those that are looking for places that are giving out food or free meals or hot meals for those that are in need. What is the time frame for this project? Well, I started looking at the materials around the 28th of September. That was right around midterms or a little bit before. I began to look at the other resources outside of the ones that we had. After I looked at the ones that we had and did some calls and some talks with the people to see like if they were still doing it or if they're no longer in use. Around the 15th. And then I began to compact the information onto flyers around November 3rd. Where is this set to take place at? Originally, it's planned to update this information to the clients and hand it out within the community or put in places that they go to often, like maybe the community center or libraries or schools or things like that. That way they can pass that information on to, or even just going to the organizations themselves and giving them the booklet that has like all the detailed information and like when they could go and when they're doing these food banks at. But due to COVID, all this information is going to have to be transferred virtually or by word of mouth or to the organizations themselves or given to my supervisor in this case. What's the purpose for this goal? To give more of an understandable and less confusing way to give information about these places within the community. That way they can receive food when in need. So it's basically just to organize it, make it less confusing. Because right now, currently, all three locations are in one binder. And that's very confusing, especially when we're trying to give them specific locations within the places. It's confusing when the Rocky Mount area people need locations in that area. And in our booklet, we have both the Durham and the Raleigh area. It would make sense to make just a Rocky Mount area one, just a Durham one, and just a Raleigh one. In this case, I'm doing it through flyers. and then hopefully later on, like once I'm in it, I can make the binders and then hand it off when COVID starts to die down. Issues with this current system before the project, or before I started this project. As I said, all 3 locations were in one book instead of being in separate books by the locations. It makes it confusing when you're looking through it. The food bank book wasn't updated since it was made. It's unknown which options are still usable and which ones are no longer usable. So my goal was to try to separate the usable from unusable, and then use the ones that are usable in a compacted way that's easy to understand. Solutions for this problem that this project can do to help this problem. We can put these updated flyers on brochures and pamphlets to give within the community. There'll also be a binder to give the information if they want more details or more places. Food bank referrals. So this is an example of the binder that I was talking about, where it had all the referrals. Inside the binder, there are examples like this one, where it said, like, I wrote little notes that said, like, I spoke with that person, they said they'll call me back. So I called to verify if the number works. Some of these numbers work, some of these didn't. The ones that did, I made note of, saying that they would call me back, and that the number does work, and the information on their website is up to date and that it is current. With this one, on 11/16, I spoke with Mr. Vincent, asking that we email them the information that, or saying that they would email me, in this case, the information on the website. So that's how I got it, other than from online. So it did work. The clients that we needed to give this information to, they were able to get this information. This is one example of the ones that didn't work or discontinued, no longer in service in this case. The number didn't work. It went to like a different number, somebody else's number. So like they no longer use. So this was one of the many that was in the book that we no longer use or is no longer in service. So I had to trash that referral completely. These are the competencies I used in this project. And then in this case, the outcome of the project is on my website. I couldn't post the outcome on this one because it wouldn't transfer onto the presentation. But if you look on my website, you can see the outcome of some of the flyers that I made for the Raleigh area. Those were the ones that I found the most of as far as food banks went. Still currently looking for the Durham and the Rocky Mount area so I can add those flyers onto it. I'm almost done with those. But yeah, that's my project. That's basically what it is. Hopefully this will help the organization out with this issue. That's my project.